Welcome to Geocache Adventures with me, Shadow Dragon 1, where I discuss geocaching and my adventures with it. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts or on the Geocache Adventures Facebook page. You can also sign up for the Geocache Adventures newsletter, which features upcoming episode information, behind the scenes articles, and other fun articles and information. This interview was recorded using Zoom and may sound different than other podcast audio. Hello, everybody. Amy, Shadow Dragon 1 here, and I am with Nancy Ronan, geocacher and children's author of the book Comet Goes Geocaching. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you, Amy. Comet and I are both happy to be here.
Yes, Mr. Comet's sitting in on this too. It's nice to meet you, Comet. Never met a famous dog before. It's nice to meet you.
He loves meeting people, so he likes it better in person than on Zoom, but that's okay.
Yes, I think most of us do. So can I ask, what is your geocaching name to start?
Okay, so my geocaching name is Three Video Sisters, and we started our account. It's my daughters had a YouTube channel. I have three daughters, so their YouTube channel name was Three Video Sisters. So that is how we got our caching name. Yeah, and they used to do a lot of videos, but not as many now that they're older and all kind of living in separate areas.
Right. Makes sense. So how did you get started in the geocaching?
So I think I saw an article in maybe Family Fun magazine back in 2010, and I thought, oh, that sounds like a fun family activity. So for my youngest daughter's birthday that summer, we bought a handheld GPS, and we did a few geocaches, and we're like, oh yeah, this was fun. And then we kind of put the GPS away and didn't do anything for a couple years. And then they came out with, I think maybe we got smartphones or discovered the geocaching app. So we said, oh, there's an app, let's try it again. And we still didn't do it a whole lot. If we were on vacation somewhere, we said, oh, let's see if there's a geocache here. And we would, maybe get a few. Fast forward to Comet. So when Comet was about a year old, which would have been 5 years ago, so like 2016, I used to walk him a lot, and we would go on bike paths. And in the process of going on the bike paths, we would always, Comet and I would bring a trash bag, so we would start picking up trash along our walks. And I said, oh, I wonder if there's any geocaches, on this bike path. And of course there was, because there's always geocaches on bike paths. So we started doing some geocaches, and then I started going to places specifically with Comet to find geocaches. So it wasn't just like, oh, by chance, let's see if there's some here. It's like, all right, let's go geocaching.
It became intentional after that.
Right. And the girls, they would come with me occasionally, but it was more, Comet and I would do it.
So how long have you been geocaching now?
So we opened our account in August of 2010.
Okay.
But when I started geocaching with Comet in May of 2016, we maybe only had 100 finds, or maybe not even that many. So then we now, since then, right now I'm at 1,129. I was going to try to get one today because I like even numbers, but I didn't do that. So a couple years ago was the big 1,000 find achievement, which was a lot of fun. I brought a little bottle of champagne. I was with one of my friends who at that time I was caching with a lot. I brought two little bottles of champagne, and it was a nice, beautiful hike. and we found it, and I had Comet with me, of course, and my other dog, Clementine. And,
Oh,
I
that's fun.
think the photo might be in the book, Comet Goes Geocaching, the photo with our little sign and 1,000 and the 2 dogs. And the past couple years, I've been doing other things more than caching, but recently we've been doing it more again. We kind of took a little break, and we're ready. We're ready to meet up with some old friends again and make some new friends and get out there more.
Sounds like a good plan. So for those that aren't familiar with the book, can you give us just sort of a brief overcap of Comet Goes Geocaching and what it is?
Comet Goes Geocaching is a children's book. It is a picture book, but it's all photos. The pictures are all photos of mostly of Comet and his little sister Clementine, who's also a golden retriever. She's 4, and Comet just turned 6. And it tells about Comet's, a little bit about what geocaching is and Comet's adventures with geocaching, and has pictures of some of the cache containers we found and swag that he likes. And it's geared, I would say, younger children, preschool through 2nd grade, although, older children would like to, look at the pictures, because who doesn't like seeing pictures of dogs?
Oh, the pictures are great. I especially love the very first one when you open it up and there's Comet with the teddy bear. That is so adorable.
Pretty photogenic, and as you could tell, I do take a lot of pictures of him, and I will just tell him sit, and he will pose. He'll, I could put anything I want, like for him to hold in his mouth, and he'll stay there with it in his mouth.
See, my dogs won't do that. I can't get a good photo of one of them at a time, half the time, let alone all 3 of them in the same photo.
The Clementine, she's not as interested in taking photos. She will sit there and not look happy. She wants to be out exploring and, chasing chipmunks and whatnot, swimming, getting dirty. But Comet, he's happy to pose.
So,
and he'll smile if I say, Comet, smile.
He does smile in the pictures. It is adorable. He's very photogenic. What made you decide to do photos instead of illustrations? Was it just because you had photos and didn't want to find an illustrator, or was there something more to it?
A little more background on like why I made the book. Comet is a certified therapy dog. He's a bright spot therapy dog, and he's also a reading buddy. So we go, pre-COVID, we go weekly to our local elementary school, and preschool, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd graders will read to Comet. So part of our program with the therapy dog organization is we made books about the dogs so that the kids could read Comet, a book about Comet.
Oh, that's cute.
Book to Comet. And we did that through Shutterfly. So it was all like photos and it was books. So the original Comet Goes Geocaching book was a hardcover book. There was a few more photos. Those are pretty expensive you can't really mass produce those.
Right.
Reasonably. So one of my daughters had recently wrote a book herself, and she's very familiar now with the Amazon self-publishing. So for Mother's Day, she said, we had been talking about how I wanted to get Comet's book so that his kids at school could have it at home, since he hasn't seen them for so long. So she formatted it to work in the Amazon self-publishing. So she kind of took my hardcover book and reformatted it so that we could, have it available on Amazon. And I have lots of ideas for other books. So the reason why I picked geocaching, Comet Goes Geocaching, I had a lot of photos. I wanted to do something a little different than some of the other books. I didn't want it just to be, this is Comet, he gets dirty. I mean, there's some of that in there that kind of describes what he does and his sister and he likes to get dirty and he likes to go in the snow and but I thought it would be a nice thing to teach the kids about geocaching too. And now that it's available to families, they see, oh, that sounds fun. Can you, maybe we should try that. And that happened with my grandnephew. He had one of the early copies of the book and he's 8. So he read the book and then my nephew sent me a little video of, his son reading the book and that he said, oh, I think we're going to have to go on a geocaching adventure this weekend. And my nephew had geocached with us that very first week when we had first signed up back in 2010, but he hadn't really geocached at all since then. So I let them use my account and I kind of did a little search in their area. They're in Maryland. And I said, oh, this looks like it would be a good one. Because I was trying to find one that was, as you know, with your son, a larger container. That wasn't a magnetic key box that's like, oh, what's this? So I was trying to find one that could possibly have some swag in it or was large enough that they could find without him getting frustrated. So, I gave the information to my nephew and sure enough, the next day he sends me a picture of my nephew and there was a little toy car in the cache. So he was thrilled and now they're all like, he got his own premium membership now and they're all excited about it. So that made me, that's kind of my goal is to get kids outside,
Yeah.
off the phones, off the, computers.
Yeah, that's hard to do these days, especially with a lot of people doing virtual learning stuff right now. And even my son goes in person, but they still use the tablets and things a lot, which, it can be a great tool, but then he comes home and that's what he wants to do is I want to play a video game. I want to go outside, go read your books, go do something else. And it takes a little coaxing, but he will go do something else. But yeah, what a neat way to introduce kids to geocaching with this story of Comet. And then it's for kids learning to read. It's a perfect book.
Yeah. And it's, each caption or each sentence it's just like one sentence on each page that correlates to the photo. Easy to read. I think probably the hardest word in the book would be geocaching. But it's geared towards beginner readers or early readers.
Yeah. It's a really neat story, being a therapy dog and a geocaching pup, finding a way to combine those two to help the kids with reading. And now it's introducing people into geocaching. Have you gotten any other stories from people that have contacted you saying, hey, we found your book and now we're trying geocaching?
I did have a couple of my local friends that when I first put that on there and we just hit a new cache called Comet Goes Geocaching. And so I had put something on Facebook about that, but of course it wasn't published yet. I have another cache that I hid a couple years ago called Comet's Cache. So I had someone saying, look, oh, we lost cell service and that area where it is doesn't have great cell service. And we couldn't find it. So that one family, they immediately went out trying to find it. I think I'll probably go with them one day. I'll offer to go with Comet and go geocaching with them. So a couple families right off the bat who never geocached before are interested. We are going to be going to a geocaching event coming up in a couple weeks. There's a town in I'm not sure if it's the town or the parks department there is putting on a geocaching 101.
Oh.
Like for families.
Yeah.
And so there's a geocacher who I think who's working with them, who has also created an event for, for us geocachers. So the park department is going to have, there's going to be some new caches hid, but then there's also going to be sample cache isn't really the word I want, but like practice ones for the family so they can kind of see what it's about. So Comet and I are going to go. We're going to donate a couple books. I don't know if they're going to do a raffle or we're working on some swag to bring for Comet to hand out. My friend, she's making these little glass magnets. I don't have one here, but like the picture from the cover of the book, I made some little square business cards. So the front of the business card is the front of the book. And the back of the business card has information, like Comet Goes Geocaching is available, blah, blah. But it also has his trackable number, so people can discover Comet on his trackable page.
Fun.
I'll send you the screenshot of that. But so out of that business card, she took just his little face, and she makes these magnets, so it's like a glass dome almost, and the little picture is glued to the bottom of it, and then the magnet on the back. So she's going to make a bunch of those for me so we can just hand out to any of the kids or grown-ups.
Oh, that's fun.
Fans that we meet along the way. We can have a little swag, and we've been dropping those, the business cards and caches, so.
Now, will Comet be signing autographs at the events?
I'm still trying to figure out how that's going to work. He will happily pose for photos. I've been thinking about that, whether I do an ink pad, he can do a paw print, but then I'm worried he's going to kind of like smear it and then it's going to make a mess. I've debated taking an ink pad impression of his paw and then having it turned into like a rubber stamp.
Oh, that's a neat idea.
Stamp. So it would be his paw, but it wouldn't actually him be doing his, pawtograph.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about it smearing.
Yeah. But he does know lots of tricks, so I'm sure he'll be happy to do tricks for the kids. That's what the kids at school, they, especially well, all of them, but especially the kindergartners, they love when Comet would come and he, do his tricks.
What kind of tricks does Comet do?
Well, Comet can balance a biscuit on his nose and hold it there until I give him the signal. Flips it, catches it in his mouth. He can, if I, make a gun and say bang, he will fall, he'll go lay down and go on his side.
I love that.
One time in kindergarten, he'll jump through a hoop. So the kindergartners, they had a hula hoop in their class. So he was jumping back and forth. He'll sit up, he'll sit pretty, he'll spin one way and then he'll spin the other way. It's funny. Usually when, I said, oh, you want Comet to do a trick? And the kids always like, can he do paw? And but he's got some other exciting tricks. So yeah, he's a well-rounded. I did a lot of classes with him when he was a puppy.
How often does Comet get to go geocaching?
Well, when I go, he usually comes with me. What we really like, our favorite geocaching would be in the woods, like trails in the woods or hiking, especially if there's a little stream or water, because they love to go.
Oh, yes.
Park and grabs. Sometimes, like a couple times this week, I had to go do errands or something in the evening. So I had the dogs with me. I took them for a run first, and then they were in the car. So I said, oh, we'll just stop and get some. he doesn't understand why he's stuck in the car. Those ones they don't like doing as much.
Yeah.
They like to do the ones in the woods.
Oh,
So,
well, I can't blame them.
story about one of Comet was, I don't think I had the puppy yet, or I don't think I had Clementine. I think it was just Comet. So it was with a couple friends of mine, and it was a mountain. And so it was a new series of caches. So every, 10th of a mile, there was caches. So there was probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 on this trail. So they were all peanut butter containers.
Oh.
The cache containers. So it's great, we go on the way up. We find, I think we must have just got the caches all on the way up, and we get to the top and we stop, and we had brought sandwiches or something. And so we're coming down, and Comet was off leash, and he's ahead of us a little ways. And I'm like, oh, look, what a good boy Comet's being. He's laying down, waiting for us. Well, he had ran ahead, found one of the cache containers, took it from where it was, ground zero, brought it over, and was starting to try and get the cover off the peanut butter jar, because he could smell that had formerly been peanut butter.
Yeah.
He did not want to give that up. So we had to do a little tricking him to get it back, and then we, put it back where it was.
A little bit of trading.
And he did that one other time. One of my friends had a series called the Little Mermaid series. So one was a mystery, but the other ones were all named after different characters, like Sebastian and Flounder. And in the cover of the cache container, there was like a Flounder bath toy or a Sebastian bath toy, those little like rubber. That was onto the inside cover of the cache container. So at each one, there was a number you had to write down, that you needed to find the final one, the mystery one. Well, I had the cover just like on the ground next to me, because I'm like either signing the log or trying to write the number I needed down. Well, that was so Comet grabbed it. I think it was Flounder. I could probably go back and look, because I know I wrote about it in my log. And yeah, he didn't want to give that one up.
Sometimes those bath toys look a little too much like a dog toy.
So yeah, he's a good boy, but he's, still gets into trouble.
Don't we all?
Silly.
Well, do you have any advice for people that cache with their dogs?
Sure. I would say, number one, make sure your dog has identification. So
yes,
if you're in an area where you can let your dog off leash safely, if it's allowed. It's not allowed everywhere. Some areas they're welcome, but they need to be on leash. So if by chance they do get lost or separated from you, there's some information on there. Usually if I'm in an area, he wears his orange vest, even if it's not hunting season, just because it makes it easier for me to spot where he is. He stays pretty close to me, but my other one, Clementine, she likes to explore a little more before back in. So I usually can kind of scan and pick out the orange a little quicker than, the deer colored dog out in the woods.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
And water, make sure you bring water for them, especially if you're out, a little collapsible bowl or something, so that if they get too hot running around in their adventures, they'll be hydrated.
Warning, this part of the show contains spoilers for the cache that is about to be discussed. Well, every week here we do the cache highlight, and you have graciously agreed to do this with me. And the cache that you chose was called Simon Says, correct?
Yes.
Cache ID GC5PTYV. Difficulty 3, Terrain 2. The description reads, "This is a multi-cache based on the 1978 electronic memory game Simon. In order to solve and log this cache, you must do what Simon says. Please bring 3 AA batteries with you. At one of the stages, you will find the combination to a lock along with the coordinates to the next stage. Please make sure to write that combination down. Once you reach the final stage, you will look for a birdhouse. Undo the latch with the combination and swing open the face of the birdhouse to reveal the game. Insert your AA batteries and the lights will begin to blink. Press any button to begin the game. If the sun is shining directly on the buttons, they may be a bit dim. Putting your shadow on the buttons will help. Simon will flash a random single light. You must copy what Simon does and press the same color. Each time you successfully copy Simon, it will add 1 new color to the end of the sequence. When you successfully complete the 10th sequence, the lights will flash and the combination to access the log. The combination sequence repeats, so you don't have to worry if you miss it the first time." So tell me about what is this one? What does Simon Says?
So Simon Says is put out by a cacher who has actually quite a few great gadget type caches, and this is one of many he has. Simon Says. So it is not only a gadget cache, it is a multi cache.
Oh.
So it is in an apple orchard. So Comet did come with me to that one. I think both of, yeah, Clementine too, both of them. And there may be the picture of that one in the book of the final stage. So at the beginning of the apple orchard, the cache coordinates, there was information for the next stage, coordinates for the next stage. So I think there was maybe like 4 or 5 stages throughout this apple orchard that you would watch and you would search and find. They may have been on like little dog tags. The coordinates were embossed in little dog tags hanging in, most of them were dog tags. It was a couple years ago that we did this one. There was one little red herring in there along the way. So we had to do a little backtracking to get the correct information to continue on to the next stage, which was fun. And then the final stage was a Simon Says type game, like the game back in the 70s, 80s, Simon.
The one with the 4 colors.
Right, and it would flash a sequence and you would have to flash the sequence. So this game, you had to do the sequence maybe up to like 10 flashes of different colors. And then once you got the sequence correct, the cache container opened and then there was the log to sign. So that was kind of fun because it was a combination of, it was a beautiful place to walk. We were there, it wasn't during apple picking season, but it was spring or summer. So it was nice to walk in that time of year. And then the fun of having the game to do at the end to get to the log. So that's one of my favorites.
That sounds like a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, and that's in central Massachusetts. Yeah, that one. So we had to drive a little bit, hour and a half to get to that one, but it was worth it.
Sounds like it. Definitely sounds. I love those creative caches, and it sounds like it took you to a beautiful place and gave you an awesome cache. You got the best of both right there. So that's pretty cool.
Bring the dogs, and and that apple orchard, they also had, I don't know if they still do, but they had like a story walk there.
Oh.
Pages of a book, and it was like a book about, I didn't look real closely, but it was like about apples or growing apples or related to apple orchards. So that was another nice little highlight there. And
that's cute. And then the dog tags just seem so appropriate for Comet geocaching.
Yeah, that was a good one. I'll have to go back there. It's still active now, that cache. So even though we did it a few years ago.
If I ever make it up that way, I will definitely have to check that one out.
Lots of good ones. I got lots of good ones out here.
Everybody says that.
Good ones everywhere. You just gotta search by favorite points to find the good ones.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, and we'll have a link in the show notes to the Amazon page for Comet Goes Geocaching for anybody that wants to check that out. I have a copy myself. I love it. It's so cute. My son wants to, in his words, quote, judge it for this for the podcast.
Oh, all right.
Give a review. He wants to. His words are judge it.
Tell him Comet wants to meet him someday. Comet wants to meet all the kids.
Well, yeah.
He likes grown-ups too, but he loves the kids the most.
Well, I can't blame him. I guess kids probably get a bit more excited than a lot of the grown-ups do.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Amy. I'm really excited to finally get to talk to you and share about Comet.
Thank you so much for doing it. So Bubby was very excited to read you the first couple pages of the book and give you his review. So here's that, and I hope you enjoy it.
My name is... Can you help me with the name?
Comet.
Comet. I am a golden retriever. One of my favorite things to do is to go geocaching. What is geocaching? It's an outdoor treasure hunt.
Very good. So we just read Comet Goes Geocaching. What did you think?
I think it was the best book in my life.
The best book of your life?
And I loved it. And one thing that I really liked about it, like when you add all of the details and how you told us about all the things your golden retriever likes to do.
That he likes to do when he's geocaching?
Yeah.
So you like the book?
Yes.
Okay, so let's rate it 5 paws out of 5 paws. So you can rate it anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do paw prints because of Comet. How many paw prints do you give the book? 5 being the best.
5!
You give it 5 paw prints?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Comet will be so happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening to Geocache Adventures with me, Shadow Dragon 1. Have you heard of FTF Magazine? It's the magazine for geocachers. It is full of articles and photos, all sent in by geocachers like you. In fact, some of the guests that you've heard on this show have submitted articles to Geocacher Magazine. They have all kinds of neat stuff and publish achievements that are sent in by geocachers. So if you have an achievement you want to celebrate, send it in and they will add it to the magazine. It is really cool. I recommend it. I subscribe to it myself and I love it. Go check it out at ftfgeo.com. That's ftfgeo.com. And let them know Shadow Dragon 1 sent you. Would you like to be a guest on the show? Do you have a topic you'd like to hear more about? Let me know at geocacheadventures.org. Go over to the contact page and you can send me a message there. It has the podcast email that you can email me to, or you can reach out to Shadow Dragon 1 on geocaching.com. Geocacheadventures.org also has a store page now. You can go over there, geocacheadventures.org, and click on the store page in the menu bar and check it out. Got some great stuff over there for you.